Well, the land around the Yuma County and the deserts in general are looking pretty barren right now. Some cotton growing, there's some hay up, and the few plants are growing. Melons are already beginning to show themselves, but generally, most of the land looks pretty barren. Mark Smith is with Smith Farms here in the Gila Valley of Yuma County. And Mark, on First News, let's talk a little bit about where are we in the land preparation and where are we in the land planting, all those things right now.
George, we're right in the middle of our heavy tillage season, getting the ground prepared for our winter vegetable crops.
Do you look at the land ahead of time? Do you take a soil analysis? I've heard this word before, soil analysis. Do you look at what's in that soil?
We do soil samples various times of the year. Most of the time, through experience, we know what's there and what operations are required.
What do you fight the most in the soil? Is it the salts?
In this area, we have a salt problem, so our tillage practices are somewhat dictated by our salts, so we have to do chiseling to open the ground up to leach the salts down with our irrigation water.
Okay, now these lands were just full of all kinds of vegetables here this last spring and summer. The first of summer we still had some things going, but right now you're preparing this soil, and I noticed these chisels. Now you have a big chisel plow here. Why don't we have moldboard plows a lot here?
We have to use the chisels. We get a lot of compaction from the different operations on the soil, the vegetable crops, and our irrigation systems. So we use the chisels to loosen the ground up to help leach our salts down.
Okay, after you first of all, you have to laser level. You level this land dead level, don't you?
Yes, it's all laser dead level. It has zero grade, so in other words, it's flat all directions.
And then in comes the chisel to loosen it up.
Well, actually, we chisel prior to lasering,
okay,
and then we laser after the chiseling, and then we will pre-irrigate the ground after the lasering.
Okay, and then that doesn't mean you're done yet, though.
No, after it's irrigated, then we will disc it again and prepare our final mulch on the ground to list the ground up in rows, and then start our planting process.
Do you put any fertilizer in on the soil at this time?
We will put a pre-plant on prior to the disking before we list up.
What about fighting the weeds that come up? They come up pretty quickly in this soil.
They'll come up after the irrigation, and we will go ahead and disc them down, and we'll put a pre-plant herbicide on after the disking for the pre-emergence on the vegetable crop.
Well, Mark, sounds to me like there's a lot of work to do to make it look barren like this. You must have a pretty good input into this soil. What type of money are we talking about just to prepare the soil?
Just the initial heavy tillage is about $150 an acre.
And when you got a lot of acres, that counts up a lot of money.
It adds up. All the new equipment, the tractors, the implements, all the inputs are getting quite expensive these days.
Now, I see a lot of equipment around here. It's more important to get that equipment working than sitting, isn't it?
You try to keep all your equipment running most of the time for the time of season it's designed for.
And how do you manage to decide what you need at what time?
Well, it's pretty much routine. In the summer we do our heavy tillage